All right. I see Periscope, Facebook, D Live. YouTube should be connecting shortly. And Twitch should as well. And of course, I'm on TalkStream Live and JLP Live. Nice. What's up, everybody? I am James Hake. This is the Hake Report. It is Monday, 9:01 a.m. U.S. Pacific Standard Time here in Los Angeles, November 16th, 2020. I'm going to be touching on the attacks on Trump supporters, just a little bit about it. President Trump talking about it or tweeting about it. And the whole government is against Trump. And there are some decent people in there, and that is nice to see. I talked to you during Hake News today about Sidney Powell, a no-nonsense lady who is a Trump lawyer, a former federal prosecutor, wrote a book called Licensed to Lie about DOJ corruption back in 2014 during the Obama administration, but it even predates that, of course. We all know that, I think. And to this day, it's a mess. 1 second. To this day! Nice. And of course, I'm going to be touching on the evil shutdowns. They're blaming child mental health problems on the pandemic. No, it's the shutdowns. And, you know, it's bad parents, which they've promoted. It's ridiculous. And I have a top 72 list. I'll just read the top 10 of Twitter accounts to follow. JLP makes the list. Very nice. And it's a list by the "Don't Tase Me, Bro" guy, Andrew Meyer. I didn't know that guy came to church. He came to church. Did you know that? Andrew Meyer. What? He didn't even introduce himself like that. But that's all right. That's cool. And you know what? I have this sick imagery. I don't think if you children, you know, you don't have to cover your eyes, but it's pretty gross. It's nasty. Males dressing up like females. Harry Styles, isn't that a singer guy or something like that? Gross. And it's been going on a long time. The subversion has been happening a while. And there's somebody on Twitter who tweeted about it. A very famous woman, young woman, black. And she's not for it. And they're going after her for just telling the truth. She just told the plain truth, and they're going after her. She doesn't always tell the truth, but she told the truth. And so all of that, plus your calls, people already on the line, 888-775-3773. Some sleazy federal judge and evil lawyers, liars, I like to call them, generally, trying to undermine Trump at every turn. You know how he's been trying to overturn DACA and then use it as a bargaining chip too, and all kinds of stuff. And the government is pushing lawlessness. DACA wasn't even constitutional, and now they're defending it. It's ridiculous. Anyway, let's get on with the show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Nasty. So, how is everybody doing? I am fine. Let me congratulate all the people that showed up to the Million MAGA March, also known as the Stop the Steal rally. Are those the same thing, or did they just combine their powers? I don't know, but they showed up in support of President Trump, our real great President Trump. In Sacramento, hundreds of people showed up. I read it on the Epoch Times. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. The Epoch Times reported that in Sacramento, California, yes, the left coast, hundreds of Trump supporters, and honestly, probably some decent people who just want an honest election, right? showed up at a Stop the Steal Million MAGA March rally, and in Washington, D.C. Bunch of people showed up. Great turnout. The real people. Not the millions of lemmings who showed up at the silly Black Lives Matter rallies with nothing real to complain about. Not the pathetic kill the baby in the womb, abortion, women's march, nonsense, useful idiots. No, these were genuine people. Some of them may jump to conclusions and like go a little further than they know. But generally, these are honest people who want an honest election and want their honest president to be the winner that he rightfully, I dare say, is. President Trump, the only honest man in the government. Tip from Bible Go-To Guy, and I think you may already know this. He faded you out before you could point to us. Then the world-famous intro started. Don't be so quick to fade out James before he has a chance to point at us. I think that was at the very beginning, right? I looked up and it saw. Thank you, Bible Go-To Guy. We won't make it that mistake again. Well, who can predict the future? But back to these rallies, as President Trump said, and I've read it online, I read it on the internet, that Trump condemned the human radical left garbage. And I have a few of his tweets. Oh, no coffee this morning. He's going clean. I respect that. It'll take a little while, but then he'll be like sharper than ever. My first 30 plus years of living, probably 33 years, 32, 33 years, I didn't drink any coffee. I didn't even like it. And then I tried iced coffee, vanilla iced coffee. And now it's downhill from there. It is good. Human radical left garbage attacked innocent Trump supporters. I read about this in Hake News at the end of hour 1 of the Jesse Lee Peterson show today. And you probably saw footage of it on the Jesse Lee Peterson show in hour 1 today, or on Twitter if you go on Twitter, or on Instagram or Facebook, because this footage spread around. And, the stupid Antifa supporters are like, well, there was one case where this white guy, Jesse Lee Peterson mentioned it in church yesterday, Church with Jesse Lee Peterson. This white guy who was aggressively fighting back against these people. And I don't know, maybe he got a little carried away. In all honesty, I don't really recommend fighting with these people. No, and I read on the internet too. Other people don't recommend this. They say don't fight with these Antifa people. Some people describe it as endless respawn, which I think is a video game reference, where they just keep on coming. There's just a never-ending supply of Satan's demons and the demon's children. Or something. Whole lot of useful idiots here. Right here in our country. Brainwashed. Suckers. And it does no good to fight with them. Unless you just have to defend yourself. In some cases, you just have to defend yourself. But in some cases, you can avoid the entire situation. I warned you guys too, watch your backs. And generally the MAGA marchers were safe. You heard from Greg from Wilmington. He left about 4 p.m., saw no action. Right on. But there were some stragglers. There was a based black woman and her children. She was attacked. People got urine thrown on them, reportedly. The white guy that I started to talk about, he looked like he was maybe in his late 40s or 50s, and maybe even a fit 60s. He got knocked out after he fought with these guys and defended himself. And maybe he was too aggressive, I don't know. Again, avoid these situations if you can. It serves no purpose. But he got knocked out by a black sucker punched him. A black guy carrying a sign. And then other people came in and stomped that guy in the back of the head and then the neck and in his back. Just disgusting people. The Antifa, Black Lives Matter supporters, the Trump haters. And of course, the mainstream media kind of ignored it. And then the Antifa supporters on Twitter, after Trump quote tweeted the video of this incident, part of the video of this incident, showing this man get abused by these evil people, saying, what did Trump say? He quote tweeted independent journalist Andy No, who tweeted a video from an account called From Kalen, and said, human radical left garbage did this. Being arrested now. That's nice. DC police. But he called on the DC police to do their job, and the mayor is not doing her job. That black female mayor who's pro-Black Lives Matter. Is it Muriel Bowser, the DC mayor woman? Short-haired black feminist BLM supporter. Enemy of America. And Washington, D.C. is a crime-ridden mess. There are both the violent crimes, such as the murder of Seth Rich in the streets. Seth Rich got murdered in the streets, and we don't know. Maybe it was an assassination, or maybe it was a random murder described as a robbery gone wrong when they left his phone and wallet on him. Who knows? But it's a violent enough city that you can say, oh, it was just a random murder, because that's quite plausible in the black city of Washington, D.C. And then you have black rhinos, like that one guy from, I think, South Carolina, Tim Scott, complaining, oh, I got stopped 12 times by D.C. police asking me, who I am. Because he's a congressman, right? No, he's a senator. Senator Tim Scott, rhino senator. And he works with Trump. I kind of like that, but I don't quite like that, because he's pushing this fake black victimhood narrative when it's really black perpetrator. What a phony person. So, of course, D.C. is out of control. And then also it's what you might call white-collar crime, government corruption. I mentioned about Sidney Powell, the Trump campaign lawyer, tough lady. She's been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show probably 5 years ago. She's author of the 2014 book, Licensed to Lie, about the DOJ corruption. All kinds of disgusting things. Murders, lies, and all that mess. Dream Not says, if you're dumb enough to attend one of these rallies in today's political climate, shrugging the shoulders. Well, you can show up during the daytime and in large groups, but don't be a straggler. Don't get separated from the crowd. If you see somebody separated, bring them in. Be safe. Be smart. And just avoid these evil Antifa people. There is a way to, especially if it's a huge rally and it's not heavy. It's not people who are, who have a reputation of being riffraff, left or right. There's a false smear upon Proud Boys. Tim Scott is not a real conservative. Yeah. Evil person. But phony, total phony. But these people are sick. And Trump called them Antifa scum multiple times. So right on to President Trump. And he showed up too. I have a picture of him in his tweets too. He loves the country, and that's why he's fighting for it. That's why he ran for president. Antifa scum ran for the hills today when they tried attacking the people at the Trump rally, because people aggressively fought back and they weren't swarmed and overwhelmed when they had their numbers. Because Antifa usually attacks people in large numbers. When 99% were gone, then they attacked innocent MAGA people. DC police, do your job. Don't hold back. And they returned at night. What an awful mess. They said, watch the whole video. You know, the Antifa people after the white guy got knocked out, as if to justify the white guy getting knocked out and stomped. All he did was shove a guy, shove him again, walk past him, and just kind of keep people away from him. Fighting people off, threatening to punch, because all these women tried to come at him, and he just went like this, and they ran away. And then, like, some men, he shoved and punched some men, and then he got rocked from behind by a evil person. Sick people. It was quite obvious that the Black Lives Matter Antifa people were the primary aggressors, as they always are, as they were in Charlottesville, Virginia. People, that's not far from Washington, D.C., I hear. Charlottesville, Virginia. I heard that Tucker Carlson got confronted and his children, grown adult children, got confronted in a Charlottesville like restaurant or bar in like a hotel, a famous nice hotel. Some Trump hater or Tucker hater try to confront them. It's a sick place. Evil people, and then they allow them to attack the alt-right over in Charlottesville 3 years ago. And those guys fought back, and they were attacked for fighting back. It's best to avoid rough situations like that, because you're going to get, the mainstream media is going to lie about you, and a whole lot of people are going to believe lies about you. But, I don't know. Everybody has to do their thing. So, I'm going to talk about this based, maybe, I don't know, but Washington Post is doing a hit piece on him. So maybe he's all right. I don't know. It's hard to tell because they cite anonymous sources and they complain and they misdirect. And so it's hard to say if this guy's a really true friend of President Trump, but he got fired and then rehired by Trump. And now he's in charge of firing a bunch of people. And that's cool. This guy named John McEntee, I think is how you pronounce his name. A former UConn football player, quarterback, actually. And now he's in charge of government personnel. He's the personnel director for the government. That's pretty cool. 30 years old. Very nice. I'm going to touch on that as well as that. Look at this guy. King. Yeah, he worked for President Trump in the Trump organization, and then he worked in the White House, and then John Kelly, the traitor, former chief of staff, supposedly a general or whatever, total rhino, he's a backstabber. Hasn't John Kelly been running his mouth against President Trump since his firing? Something like that, or he resigned. I don't even remember. But he walked this guy out because he does online gambling. Maybe he has an online gambling problem. A lot of people gamble too much. And this guy's 30. Maybe he does that too much. But I hear that he's firing people. That's cool. Thank you to Dark Side of the Bear What hosting the show, and Jesse Lee Peterson hosting the show on DLive.tv. Thank you, too, to Robot Moose gifting 10 month subscriptions to users on DLive.tv/The Hake Report. That's cool. Congrats to Penny Roo, faithful supporter. 420 Bear 69. Democ dies with a honk. Oh, democracy dies with a honk. Very cool reference. Brindle, based America First, based AF. Reckless Bandito. Fan of the ladies. Mover Bear, Mutiny on the Ark, Utopia Bear, appreciate. Thanks for the follow, Utopia Bear. And Mo Betta, stand-up, faithful supporter, says Antifa brown shirt equals Judo Soros revenge against the U.S./Europe, is what Antifa brown shirt. Brown shirts, from what I understand, is a reference to, I think it's Nazi thugs, right? From what I understand. From back in the 30s in Germany. Nazi thugs fighting with commie thugs. And maybe in some cases they would attack innocent people too. I hear that they were, I don't know, it's hard to tell because look at what they say about the Proud Boys, right? So who knows? But that's what the story is, that they would just beat up people, political violence and intimidation, terrorism, kind of like what Antifa does. And so that's why he's calling them Antifa brown shirts, I believe. If Ramses II still had an empire, would you see Antifa, Soros, Judos rioting on the news in Egypt too? Or you would see that? Was Ramses II a weak guy? I'm not familiar. Mo Betta knows more history than I know. Okay, let me get to some calls, though. I am going to get to this guy and these big claims from this Trump lawyer and other news, too. Mentally ill kids. It's crazy. It's not exactly from COVID, but COVID doesn't help. And it's not COVID, it's the shutdowns. It's the Democrat shutdowns. Let me get to Nate, though. First-time caller in Pennsylvania. Lots of first-time callers. I will be getting to you guys. Nate from Pennsylvania. How are you?
What up, Hake? How you doing, man?
I'm fine.
Cool. Hey, man, I heard, I was looking at Jesse's, he had a debate with this liberal comedian guy. I forget his name. It's like John Fugelsang.
Oh, yeah, John Fugelsang. Yes.
Yeah. That was a while ago.
He's had a couple of debates with that guy.
Up on Jesse.
What's that?
Sorry, I was saying that's a while ago. That was a while ago, but I'm just now catching up on Jesse.
Okay. Yeah.
He of course didn't make a lot of great points, but he made one point that I thought was actually interesting, and I don't think it really worked for his position, but I think it might work in practice. I was wondering what you think. It was in regards to illegal immigration. He was saying that people who hire illegal immigrants should be like partially culpable for them finding employment, which I think his point was just to attack Trump and the based claims that he was hiring illegals or whatever.
Yeah.
But
as if Trump knows who
really could nail down on that. Like that would be a good plan to maybe dissuade them from coming over?
Yeah, and you know what? The Trump administration, I've read, has done stings on employer or on locations, factories, for example, where they believe that illegals have been working. And so they've rounded up some illegals in some cases. I heard that the Obama administration did this quite a bit. They would hire the working illegals and not really go after the criminals. And, well, I mean, the working illegals are criminals too, right? They broke the law, and many of them have been deported prior, so that's a felony to be here, to come back after you've been deported. But Trump has been doing that. It is kind of tough because these illegals can commit fraud and get a fake social security number, get what's called an I-9, which is a form. At least here in California, I don't know if it's federal. It might be because, immigration is federal law. So a lot of these employers, including, I've told you before that I worked with illegals, at least I suspect, according to themselves sometimes. They had their I-9s. And so the employers had what you might call plausible deniability because they had their I-9s. So it is kind of hard to go after them because there's so much fraud. It's fraud on top of fraud on top of fraud. It's kind of like what I suspect is going on with the election. I don't even know if the Trump lawyers have any idea or can really get to the bottom of the level of corruption that's going on. And in fact, President Trump is doing that a little bit because he's calling the fake news media the enemy of the people. They're just exposing themselves as completely fake. And so they're deceiving people, and those deceived people are going on to vote. I mean, but why are they so easily deceived? Because of the subversion of the morals in America. But you're right, it is something that we do need to be tough on. And honestly, like employers, a lot of these employers, they say, oh, our workers have I-9s, but yet many of them like don't have driver licenses or don't want to go down and work in San Diego, close to the border and stuff like that. That could be a clue, you know, like an employer of conscience might be like, I don't want you working for me. You know what I mean? I'm getting the clue that you might not be legal. And you don't want to really encourage.
That they didn't know.
Say that again?
How do you prove? I agree. Like, how can you prove that the employer knew that the I-9 was fake or that, you know?
Yeah, it's tough, but we need just that old school American, I'm suspicious of you, and that's enough. You know, that type of stuff.
Agreed.
And don't be coward by the fake, you're profiling. Exactly. I have a right to profile, you know, because it's now they're protecting the criminals and the illegals and punishing the law-abiding and people trying to enforce the law, like President Trump. They're going after him because he's trying to enforce our immigration laws and bring back some sanity. It's such a shame.
And I don't agree with Republicans all the way, and I don't agree with Democrats all the way. Yeah. But the Democrats, liberals and stuff, they make the argument so easy because I don't have to argue any points. Like, for example, the whole COVID thing, going crazy about hating Trump for how slow he's been to shut things down. And then, of course, when Biden, quote unquote, wins, the streets are filled with these people, touching each other. Right. The hypocrisy makes it such an easy conversation just to destroy.
That's true. That's true, man. What don't you agree with the Republicans on? I was going to say the Republican platform on, because a lot of Republicans are total rhinos.
Yeah, that's probably those people more that I'm disagreeing with. Like, I guess the biggest thing that comes to me is that the Republican Party in history, I feel like, has just been much more interventionist in the world, but not necessarily where I think we should. Like, we dump foreign aid to Israel, but we'll like stand back with situations like North Korea, you know, which I know that's not exactly a popular opinion, but I feel like if we're ever going to be judged someday, I think that we'll eventually, we're going to have to answer for the fact that we just kind of stood by while this what's the word? Basically this hostage situation goes on right under our eyes, but
where that whole
overall,
country is.
Republicans are very warly.
You mean like the North Korea and whole country, all the citizens are hostages in their own country? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I feel like we have a bad history of turning a blind eye to.
Yeah, it does.
We know are terrible.
It does seem very selective in their, you know, it's so fake and moralistic. Anytime a politician talks about, oh, China is doing this horrible thing, I just roll my eyes at these people because they're phony people. Meanwhile, here at home, our country is just falling apart because of these people just standing by and not standing up for what's right and for sanity. Our country's like being destroyed. It's a mess. So I can agree with you on that. I don't know much about the Israel situation. A lot of you guys have criticisms of how we support Israel, and I don't really want to get involved in something that we don't need to get involved in, for sure. So
yeah, to be honest, I don't really know a ton about it except the fact that we send a lot of money that way, and I just use it as an example of. I think there's countless examples of us turning a blind eye to things that are horrendous going on, and then we jump in when it's convenient. I mean, even back in like World War II days with the whole rape of Nanjing going on, and we didn't act, and then when it benefited us, we jumped in. I don't know. Some of those things wouldn't be popular opinions, but I just think that we have a tendency to be very selective.
Yeah, that's for sure. And it's so phony. All this, we're here to spread peace and democracy. It's so stupid. It's basically, it's a fake religion that we're spreading. In all honesty, it's a fake religion. And that's what the UN is doing. They're trying to spread this fake imitation version of replacement of religion. You know how back in the olden days, Christians were spreading Christianity and the Muslims were spreading Islam. And the Jews, I don't know what the Jews were doing. They don't tend to do that. But they tend to, oh, yes, in a sense, they kind of do. I mean, they look at them today. They're all a bunch of liberals who are spreading these false liberal values around the world. So it's what they're doing. It's the same thing, but they're pretending that it's about freedom.
Yeah, it's still proselytizing for sure, and it's just in a different way.
Yep, that's so true.
Yeah.
They just don't even believe in their own religion anymore. I guess it happens.
Yeah, and again, it's so easy to, if you just like switch around certain parts and like certain facts just for like a thought experiment.
Yeah.
Like if you criticize Muslim belief at all, they think you're a racist or whatever, even though you're criticizing a religion. But if we were to just move a few facts around and say like Mormon culture, they do clitorectomies or something like that, like the liberals would go crazy. You know, most Mormons are white, straight people. Yeah. And they'd want to shut them down. But once you apply it to somebody, it's like if racism existed, it's like a reverse racism almost.
Yeah. I mean, it is. There's a hatred upon whites and Christians and conservatives and just generally sane people. Because there's a lot of atheists and normal traditional people who don't believe in this LGBTQIA madness and abortion and all that stuff, but they say, oh, you're just trying to push your Christian supremacy on me and stupid stuff like that. Yeah. We're not a theocracy. They're fake. For sure, man. Yeah. Interesting call. Appreciate it. Nice to hear from you, Nate.
You too, man.
All right. Take care.
All right. I'll see you next time.
All right. Let me get to Ted, a first-time caller in Hawaii. It must be 6:30 in the morning in Hawaii? I don't know. Ted, how are you doing?
Hey, James, how you doing?
Fine. How are you?
Great. It's actually 7:30 here. We don't have daylight savings on the island. So
interesting. Yeah. So you're 2 hours behind us in normal times.
Yes, sir.
All right. Cool.
So yeah, you were talking about the Antifa stuff at the march, and I that one clip with that guy, that poor guy, and I just had a quick take on it.
Did you see the longer clip where he's pushing and shoving and fighting and going around and just basically really defending himself? But I don't know. He got kind of aggressive, and then he had no choice but to defend himself against these people.
Oh yeah, I know. I saw the whole thing, and it's really to your point about like not engaging.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a horror show what's happening, because if you think about it in just like base terms, like if we were back in the old days and your village was being swarmed by like black clad, ninjas, like trying to start street fights, it wouldn't be that hard to get, your people together to just get them all out. But because of all this legalese and stuff, and, they're allowed to do it. And it's really not for one person to deal with. And it's so sad, because you could really see with that guy, he's trying to square up.
Right.
Like, and, in some states you're allowed to do that. Like, you're allowed to,
mutual,
exactly. Yeah. Like in Washington
mutual fight.
State. Yeah. And the cops will stand by, let it happen. But with him, he squares up maybe like 10 times with 10 different people.
Yeah.
And then disengages and then gets, sucker punched. So it's just sad. Like he's actually like trying to straighten them out, but these people, they're past that, they don't even see with like their own eyes. Like they just look at the group and they see a target and they all move in. And it's definitely not for one person to deal with, like you said.
Yeah, that's true, man. It's a shame.
It is insane. You know, these people just need to be properly designated. They're terrorists.
Yeah.
It's just this coached terrorism by kind of, like I said, like the lawyers and stuff, and you know, all this interpretation of what, you know, peaceful protest. You know,
Right.
it's so insane.
Yeah. I
Like,
think that I think they hide behind the fact that they don't generally use lethal violence, even though they can really maim you. I mean, some of these people brought bike locks and bashed people in the head with bike locks. And that one, I think that guy who did that, I think it was in either Berkeley or Portland or somewhere up in California or somewhere. He got, what did he didn't even get really time. I think he got probation. Is the bike lock professor, Antifa support professor. And that was years ago. And another Antifa guy shot a guy point blank in Portland. And a religious man, as President Trump said. And the dishonest media covers for them. Really evil people. And then they fearmonger about Proud Boys as if Proud Boys have done anything close to that. The Proud Boys have just fought back. Yeah. That's all they've done. Every now and then you might find one who gets a little over-aggressive, maybe. You know, I'm just saying that just because common sense says sometimes people get caught up. But everybody knows that the primary aggressors are Black Lives Matter and Antifa.
100%. And the media is actually doing part of the job of, you know, like the strategy. Yeah. You know, it's called the black bloc, right? Like they're doing that for them, and they need to be called on that by just obfuscating for these people when it's so predictable. Like you said, we're talking about stuff that happened 4 or 5 years ago. I remember all of it. I mean, it's not changed. It's very predictive. All you need to do is say people who gather without showing their face in all black need to be regarded as a civil, you know, issue.
Yeah, it's an illegal. It's an illegal gang. It's a violent.
Sparing people.
Yeah.
Every time.
Right. It's intimidation. It is violence, and they're communists, and so are the media who have been covering for them. They're enemies of America, just outright. It's wild,
what are we
man.
missing out on by banning gatherings of people covering their face in all black? What are we losing?
Yeah,
we don't lose anything with that.
Right, exactly, and that's one thing that was good about what I've told you guys before. Up in Modesto, we've gone to 2 straight pride rallies. That's where we believe in normal marriage and normal family and having babies and opposing abortion and all that stuff. And it's just regular conservative people who want the truth out. And Antifa did show up, and Black Lives Matter did show up, but they were not allowed to wear masks a year and a half ago, or whenever it was. I think it was August of 2019. And then this time, of course, they did have to have the masks, but they didn't show up in numbers. The media didn't. They did try to do a blackout on us, so they didn't really cover us, so Antifa didn't know about it that much. So only Antifa, Black Lives Matter was there across the street, and then we just ran them off. And we showed up, we had major numbers in that rally. But if they're not allowed to wear masks, then they can't get away as easily with committing crimes and not being identified, which is just common sense. That's the only reason that they're wearing those masks. Kind of like what you said, the black bloc. I think that's why they all dress in black, so they can't be identified as easily. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I forgot to ask.
Banning that, what do we lose?
Yeah, exactly. No problems at all. I forgot to ask my Pennsylvania caller what his impression was of the state around him, because I've had a couple of Philly people say, this is MAGA country in Philadelphia. And so what is it like over there in Hawaii?
I see a bit of it. I see caravans. You know, it's pretty laid back here. You know, the government and stuff's the way, but
right.
You know, I don't really see a lot of signs. I'm kind of removed, man, to be frank, from a lot of like the mainland stuff.
Okay.
Like, I mean, it's just not as severe here compared to some of the happenings in some of these major cities.
Yeah, I would imagine. I would imagine not. That's interesting. How long have you?
I do see a lot of support.
Yeah, I
I've
would
been here
think so.
for a few years.
Because in the government, I remember when they were pushing the same-sex marriage thing, there was a traditional element, a common sense element over there that was fighting against the pushing of same-sex marriage on the state of Hawaii, even though I know it to be like a highly liberal area and the so-called natives over there want to break away, not be a state anymore. They want to be their own country or whatever. And I'm not sure I blame them, but they are kind of dumb liberals. They fall for that identity stuff, that false identity. I don't think they realize how good they have it. Yeah, no, I mean, they have it great. And the thing with that is it's sort of understandable. I think they want, Hawaii's not very big, but there's all 4 branches of the military here, a lot of military. Yeah. So I bet you they benefit from that. A lot of what they say is they do. Absolutely. But some people, it's a liberal take for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting, man. Well, it's good to hear from you. How old are you, Ted? If you don't mind my asking. 29. Yeah, no problem. Nice. Well, we'll talk again, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'll call again. All right. Yeah, appreciate you. Take care. Okay. I'm going to get to Richard and Carl and the rest of you guys. Hang tight, but let me just cover this story of these mentally ill kids. According to the Epoch Times, the proportion of children who have mental health emergencies, which is so strange. I can't even think of it. There were some messed up children that I grew up with, but not like this, is increasing amid the so-called pandemic. Really, the shutdown is the pandemic. The proportion of children seeking emergency room visits for mental health has increased massively amid the pandemic, according to a report from the CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which came out November 13th, just Friday, right? Friday the 13th. The data from the CDC centers, and this is the HHS, which is a liberal outlet, right? Liberal government bureaucracy, anti-Trump, anti-Christian, anti-decency, right? Self-important. They have this section called the National Syndromic Surveillance Program. Talk about a creepy aspect of the CDC, right? They compared that to data from the previous year and found that the number of visits to the emergency department for both health, such as asthma, sprains, and injuries, and mental health have decreased. The proportion of mental health-related emergency visits have increased substantially. And I think that it's partly because kids aren't allowed to go outside and play. And so since they're not allowed to go outside and play, they're not going to get hurt as much, right? Physically. But yet, you go crazy when you're cooped up inside. You're supposed to be outside. So they're going crazy a little bit more, right? Emergency departments are commonly the first point of care for children's mental health emergencies. Isn't that so creepy? Just replacing religion and fathers with so-called mental health. They don't even know what they mean by mental health, honestly. Because they can't really test the brain. They just say, they can test it a little bit, but they don't really know what they're talking about. It's a whole lot of guesswork. Psychology is a fake science. It's not a real science. This especially holds true when there are no other options or services available, going to this emergency thing. They talk about single mothers in a second. Hold on. The data derives from hospitals from 47 different states, representative of 73% of the visits of the emergency department. The proportion of mental health-related emergency department visits, ED visits, among children increased 66% from 1,094 per 100,000 visits in April 2019 to 1,800 per 100,000 in April 2020, according to the report. And that's when they were shutting down stuff, not letting people do stuff. Compared with 2019, the proportion of mental health-related visits for children 5 to 11 ages 5 to 11, and 12 to 17 years increased 24% and 31%, respectively. Why? The report indicated that the increase in the proportion of emergency visits might be due to increased stress that children experienced during the pandemic, right? They blame it on the pandemic. Democrat shutdowns. And rhinos, too. Many mental disorders commence in childhood, and mental health, this is a report saying this, many mental disorders commence in childhood, and mental health concerns in these age groups might be exacerbated by stress related to the pandemic and abrupt disruptions to daily life associated with mitigation efforts, meaning shutdowns, including anxiety about illness. Well, that's more of the female and mainstream media fear-mongering, and a whole lot of females and female-minded liberal males. I remember I was up at the park recently, taking a walk. I told you guys about this a few months back. I walk way around this father and little son, right? Little boy. They were out to play at the park. At least he was getting outside, right? But his father, apparently not well, because I hear the boy ask something, and then I hear the father say, because I'm not wearing my mask, it's outdoors. Beverly Hills Park. He's all, that man doesn't care about anybody else. He's selfish. He doesn't want to wear a mask. A male, adult, apparently liberal father telling his son that. Talk about a mama. Talk about a brainwashed, judgmental, female-minded liberal. Imagine. So if a father is acting like that with his son, of course it's a liberal Beverly Hills father, right? White, maybe. Whatever. Then imagine what like single mothers would do, or mothers. You've heard the females go nuts over this thing. It's kind of like the difference between Joe Biden and President Trump in terms of the females who get overly paranoid about this, and female-minded liberal males. Trump says the people want to open up and have their freedom back and do business again. And I think Trump said that, and then Joe Biden said, the people want to be safe, so they want to be forced to shut down in his mind. What a sicko. So, of course, that's going to pass the anxiety about illness, so-called, to the children. Social isolation, yep, they can't hang around with their friends. Interrupted connectedness to school, according to the report. They suggested it would be best to help monitor the condition of young people and expand the number of services, as well as access. Access is a communist word, for access to these services for children during the pandemic. Not to open up again. As President Trump said, the children are practically immune. And they get it, they don't suffer anything. And just keep them away from grandma. It's better for them anyways. If grandma's susceptible to getting the virus, right? The children may get it. The parents are young and healthy usually. Although parents are getting older and older when we have kids, right? Or when they have kids. UK too, the United Kingdom, it comes as a new study found that people, especially youths, experience worse symptoms of mental health amid the pandemic. Are suicides on the rise? I think I heard something like that. According to the study, and alcoholism and all that stuff. I mean, you should be strong and overcome all that stuff regardless, and you shouldn't just stay in your house. According to the study, an increased level of distress was present in people aged 16 and older in the UK, United Kingdom. Here's a quote from that study. Our findings suggest that being young, a woman, and living with children, especially preschool-aged children, have had a particularly strong influence on the extent to which mental distress increased under the conditions of the pandemic, the study indicated. I'm chuckling because I'm remembering that black female lady who was smoking her pot in the car and doing some type of live stream and being like, trunk. She's shouting at trunk because she's black. Look here, trunk. You got to open up and pay us so we can buy our weed because it's stressful having to deal with our children at home. This is what Jesse Lee Peterson talks about all the time. Women have no patience. Being young, a woman, and living with children, especially preschool age wild kids. A strong influence, mental distress, mentally ill mothers, and then these people are raising the children. And it's a spreading, that's the pandemic. Am I right? What a mess. Anyway, let me get to Richard in South Carolina. I had to share that with you because the shutdowns are bad for you. And then single mothers are bad for you. And this government programs, the government's the problem. I mean, part of the problem, right? These liberals in the government think they know what they're doing. And then they swoop in with their fake solutions. It just makes the problem worse. Shameful. It's stressful living in the UK as anyone. Yeah. And I hear that they're fat too. America and the UK are fat, I hear, and out of shape. Richard in in South, very different from UK, South Carolina. Richard, how are you doing?
Hey man, what's going on?
Not much. It's good to hear from you.
You too. Good to be heard.
Cool.
Hey, yeah, you're exactly right. All what you just said, 100% spot dead on. And the government, is a lot. It's terrible.
Yeah.
What they're trying to do, and they're very, very close to completing their agenda. I mean, that's why you're seeing what you're seeing right now, such a deliberate cheat. They hate Trump, like Jesse says, the evil side cannot stand the sight of good.
Yeah.
That's why they hate Trump so bad. He's in their way, and he's the only thing in their way. They've been doing this agenda that they're of taking over America and taking over Americans' lives has been going on for, I'm guessing, maybe more than 60 years.
I think it's been 100 or more years.
The Democratic Party, every time they take control, kills one more big part of small town USA. I live in a small town, and my town is almost dead. And it was the county, the county seat of the county I live in.
Wow.
And all the surrounding towns, there's one town that's a bigger town next to us, and there on the other side of us, there's another town that's that's doing okay, but there's 3 or 4 towns that are been dead for years. They're little small towns, little one stoplight, caution light, kind of like towns that you drive through and you don't even realize you drove through a town.
Right.
And they're dead. They've been dead for years, and the reason they're dead because of the politics of the left and taxes and then what happens is they put these Walmart supercenters in and Dollar Generals in and stuff like that in these towns because see what's happened is they regulate these regulations kills all the small mom and pop businesses.
Yep.
They go out of business.
Yep. It's true.
And then the people are still living there. They just commute to the next town over and work or whatever, and they go shopping at the Walmart because they put the Walmart in this, and it because the towns accepted, bring Walmart in here. We need somewhere to shop.
Yeah.
All of our businesses are shut down. So I'm sorry about my phone ringing in the background. It'll quit in just a second.
That's okay. And you know what? Speaking of Walmart is part of the problem. These people, they give jobs, right, to a bunch of people. Mm-hmm. And they provide a nice place to shop and all that. But they end up supporting evil. And correct me if I'm wrong, aren't most of these huge businesses kind of in bed with the government? And they they cave to the cowardly politically correct agenda. They take guns off the shelves and say, "Oh, we're not going to sell ARs anymore," and stuff like that. I mean, I understand taking guns off the shelves when there's looters coming in and stealing stuff. Okay, take them off the shelves, but how about take the guns off the shelves and protect your store, or something? I don't know.
Right.
But they're not for what's right. They're cowards.
Mm-hmm. They're in bed with the government, and the thing is that when they get these towns, these small towns broken down to where there's only one grocery store, and it's barely surviving. They've moved the Walmarts in, and that big Walmart supercenter is sitting there, and it's surrounded by 6 towns that are dead, and they all have to go to the Walmart supercenter in that county to shop because all the other businesses are gone. So, but guess what? The Walmart, the Dollar General, the Sam's, whatever, these big box stores, when they sit in this county, when you allow them to come in, do you know that they don't pay one dime tax?
Really?
To that town. A truck, their money does not go in the banks. A truck comes up and takes the money, takes it out of town. It doesn't. The banks don't see it. The town don't see it. And whenever they got 10 years. And see what Walmart will do is they'll build a store, and they're allowed to build that store in that county. I've done the research. You can look it up. They can sit that store in that county for 10 years. And without paying one dime of taxes to the town,
supposedly because they're bringing in jobs and stuff, right? That's the pretense, or maybe they're operating at a loss or whatever. But
and you know what they do to get another 10 years? They build a bigger one right next to it, and it starts all over again.
What a scam! What a racket, huh?
It's a racket, and
you know what we could just solve these problems there's other ways to solve the problems. Like, one, get rid of minimum wage and get rid of the illegals and all kinds of stuff. There's so much stuff that we could do to bring. I mean, Trump seemed like he was doing it by, like what you said, getting rid of these regulations that are killing the opportunity for new businesses to come up.
Every time the Republicans get a little time in the government, little businesses starts popping up in your little towns, and you'll see a little small guy opening up a little oil change business, opening up a little convenience store, or a little restaurant, and it'll go for a couple of years, and then poof, it's gone again. They're gone. They're out of business. They don't last.
Yeah.
I see it all the time. I see little restaurants open up, and I say, "Oh man, a new barbecue place. That's great." And I say, "But it won't be here long."
Yeah.
Because they'll kill it. The Democrats will. And
I've seen that happen up in LA, right here in LA County, just up the in Santa Clarita, Newhall area.
Well, you know what they ultimately want, don't you? They want to kill all small town America.
Yeah.
And they want us living in zones.
Yeah, I think that is true. Is that Agenda 21, the UN thing, where
that's where they're headed?
They're building they're tearing down buildings here, even on Pico Boulevard, tearing down awesome like burger stands and all that stuff, and then building these high-rise buildings with shops below, apartments up top, including Section 8 subsidized housing, and the traffic here is a nightmare.
Well, I'm afraid if Mr. Biden gets what he wants, if they get what they want by using Biden as the little puppet to get him in office, they're gonna get there, because who's gonna stop them? They're using this virus to control us now.
Yeah, and
it's all about control.
Yep,
it's all about taxing you to death, killing the towns, putting in their big box store, and making you have to shop there.
Yeah,
because you have no other choice. And hey, once they are done getting everybody broke down, these towns that's got these big box stores in, they're gonna shut them down too. They're gonna completely do away with small town America. And like you said, if they can get us in zones and get us completely dependent on them, to where you have no choice but to depend on them.
And then
Where else are you going to go?
Imagine something comes up and you have to evacuate that place. Imagine the crazy traffic. If you're even allowed to have your own car anymore at that point.
There you go. And that's what they want, man. They want us on our knees.
Yeah.
And they're using the black people, and they're using the immigrants they controlling them. They allow the new. I cannot believe Fox News has turned, and they're not showing anything about these riots and the Antifa attacking these patriots.
I know.
In Washington and the knockout game. If the knockout thing, that should be assault with intent to kill.
Totally, it should be.
I mean, you could kill somebody like that.
People have died from that. Yeah, you're right.
And they're not doing anything. They're not even reporting it on the news.
Yep.
I can't believe it. It's just blowing me. It's blowing my mind. Like Jesse said, this is an amazing time to be alive if we get through it and get over it, and we can keep Trump in the White House. Trump right now, he's a Band-Aid, man. He's just a Band-Aid on this thing.
I know, now, but he wants to be effective, and I think he kind of knows how to be effective, but there's a whole lot of pushback against him, and I think that it's going to take us all turning ourselves around so that we become powerful people instead of helpless people. And I'm not talking about just like worldly power necessarily, although I think that too. I think we could all be like richer, stronger, and more influential than we are, but also like truly real and decent. And that's powerful too.
My daughter started school right when Obama got elected. We had a business. My dad had a business, and I worked for my dad. And we lost our business we had for years.
Yeah.
When he came on the scene, we lost it after a couple of years of him. And my daughter has been brainwashed by the public school system.
Yeah.
I've lost her. Been divorced for about 8 years, and my daughter's 17 now, and I've talked to Jesse about my daughter before and my situation with her, and it's been over a year now. I talked to Jesse about 6 months into when she was 15, and she decided she didn't want to be around Dad because Dad was too hard on her.
Right.
And went to Mom, and Mom lets her do whatever she wants, so I never see her.
Have you contacted Jesse for his private counseling?
I listen to Jesse every day.
Nice.
I've been listening to Jesse.
You do his silent prayer?
I already know. Oh, yes.
Nice.
I do it.
Yeah.
In the morning, I do it for hours during the day. So I'm not working. You know what I'm doing now for a living?
What's that?
Day trading on the New York Stock Exchange.
Right on. Cool.
Yeah, I'm making some money.
That's good.
But I was a substitute teacher.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm not doing that anymore.
Okay.
And if Biden gets in, I'm not going back because they were out of control. They were out of control before that.
Yeah, that's true.
And now, if you go, I can imagine what it's going to be like if you go back.
Yeah.
And under this new administration that they're trying to shove down our throats.
Well, some people can do that and be a light there. So it's not. Some people might be able to be a substitute teacher or a decent teacher over there. We need them. We need decent people working for Amazon, for Yahoo. There's like a decent person who works for Yahoo, and Jesse Lee Peterson got a feature in Yahoo in 2018. Yahoo News, known to be far left, and there's decent people working for Google, although sometimes they're getting themselves fired by being a whistleblower. But even that. So anyway, Richard, I got to run. I appreciate your call. Good to hear from you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Sir.
Take care, guys. Take care. I mean, don't take care, guys. I will be right back, guys. Hang tight, Carl. I will get to you. Appreciate you hanging on. I have to take a quick break. We're well into the second hour. Be right back for more. I'll read your super chats. I'll give you a little tip about Agenda 21. It's been covered on the Jesse Lee Peterson show before. It's not a baseless conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy theory that's based, in fact. All right, guys, hang tight for the rest of hour 2. Taking a quick break. Enjoy. What's up, guys? I am back. Thank you for hanging in there. Thank you to Mo Better Stand Up, Penny Roo, and all of you guys for the support. Appreciate it. Brown shirt behavior. Antifa turned its tactic against, says Mo Better Stand Up. Which I think is a reference to, like, the brown shirts. Brown shirt behavior. The violent Antifa people. Mo Better Stand Up. And it's actually Black Lives Matter, too. Let's be honest. They're just violent personalities. 50 Antifa assaults. You return to class a week later. That one Antifa girl says, "Oh my gosh, stop profiling me," says Mo Better Stand Up with a ninjagini. Yeah, these people are just play innocent. And they're females many times, too, by the way. And males. Penny Roo with the diamond says, "To the gallows with the government. Disavow, disavow." Who said that? Yeah. Due process. Am I right? Yes. Mo Better Stand Up gave a ninjagini and said, "To learn who rules over you, simply find out who you are not allowed to criticize. Whom you are not allowed to criticize." Mo Better Stand Up with a diamond says, "Country caller warns of city votes matter more." Yeah, that's true. It's an attack on the little man. And they pretend to be for the little man. Phonies, the Democrats and rhinos. Mo Better Stand Up gave a ninjagini. Who would win in a battle between New York Governor's National Guard and the Texas National Guard, asking for a judo friend? Interesting. I don't know. That's a good question. Would they want to fight each other? There is a whole lot of corruption happening to the military. A whole lot of dumb military members like to lord it over you. "I served in the military." Talk about un-American, huh? Bow down. Thank me for my service. Frank Hassel. Anybody keep up with his work? Not to be confused with Frank Castle. So this interview, check out this interview if you missed it. I recommend it. And this is a YouTube video. It's probably also on BitChute and probably also on Library. From May of 2018 on the Jesse Lee Peterson YouTube channel. Agenda 21, Socialist Globalist UN Plan to Control You. American Freedom Alliance member Michael Greer. Michael Greer, who is a cool lady, local Tea Party lady, has been and it's spelled Michael. It's spelled like the male version of Michael, but she's a lady. Michael Greer, Jesse's longtime friend, fellow Tea Party activist, Ms. Michael Greer, Vice President of American Freedom Alliance and blogger at Madder Than Hell, reported after visiting the 2018 United Nations, listen to this name, Habitat World Urban Forum number 9. Isn't that creepy? Habitat World Urban Forum in Malaysia. She reported it to the American Freedom Alliance, and she also wrote about it on her blog, Madder Than Hell. She's spoken about the UN's Agenda 21 around the world, a treaty signed by the United States in 1992 by the Rhino Never Trump New World Order President George H.W. Bush. That's the daddy. We're going to do a new world order. This is what Bush the daddy said. Didn't he say something like that? Yeah. She says that California, right here, is ground zero for the globalist Agenda 21 goals to have 80% of the world's population living in apartments in cities, according to her, using public transportation by 2050. And I hear that a year or two ago, everybody was riding those scooters that you rent, Lime and whatever they're called. That's part of it too, I hear. They want to get rid of private property, privately owned cars, ranches, or farms. People thought this was a conspiracy theory, but it's not. I mean, it is a conspiracy. It is a theory, and it's the truth. In Los Angeles, they're pushing diversity, tearing down old neighborhoods and store buildings to build big apartment buildings and low-income Section 8 housing, too, to redistribute the ghettos. Low-income people, they live in high-crime areas because they're the ones committing the crimes, honestly. Or they're frazzled mothers are raising criminal children, right? So they have these false solutions of putting low-class people with poor culture into nicer middle-class areas. That's what Obama was doing with HUD, Housing and Urban Development. On all these intellectual eggheads, these elitist, when I say elitist, these snootier, better than you people hated the fact that President Trump chose the great Dr. Ben Carson to be head of HUD and got rid of this. He wanted to protect your suburbs, whereas Obama wanted to put so-called inner city people in the suburbs. She talks about children being taught about this man-made climate change stuff. Sorry, Jeanette. I'm doing the air quotes, and I was advised to cut that out a little bit. Which ignores the sun's influence on global warming, this thing. Liberal, phony values of inclusivity. Their fake religion, right? Equity, diversity, etc. When these kids grow up to be adults, this is all from this interview from March 15th, I believe, 2018. It aired on Newsmax TV, by the way. Jesse Lee Peterson was a Newsmax TV host. They support environmentalist and socialist laws. Some of them grow up to be Antifa and beat you up. Or Black Lives Matter idiots. Or this brainwashing with the March for Our Lives, really March Against Our Lives rally against the Second Amendment, which was a month. This would have been a month after it was Valentine's Day of 2018, I believe, right? I think that's when it was, the attack on that school, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas School. Feminist school. Why do parents sacrifice their children to socialism? Just like what you heard from that caller. His daughter went to the public school, turned against him. Well, actually, it was the mother, too, and the divorce didn't help. He was weak. Left it open, left the children to be exposed to this evil, unprotected. They learn there is no genders. They support transgender mental illness is normal, including You heard even this election thing or during the campaign. Joe Biden said, if an 8-year-old, didn't he say 8-year-old? If an 8-year-old child boy feels like he's a girl, he should be allowed to get the hormone blockers and all that stuff. He should be affirming. He should have his fake gender identity affirmed. Indoctrinating kids against Christianity and morality, insanity. No wonder the kids are mentally ill. It's fake, huh? So, let me get to Carl in Tennessee. He has a warning for me about my interior design, which is not mine, but... Hey, Carl, how are you doing?
Hey, bud, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
I'm doing good. So, all right, I'm just going to make sure that you can hear me okay. My phone signal's sort of iffy. I'm out here in the middle of the Tennessee River, only a couple of thousand feet off the shore, and I'm sort of struggling to maintain a phone signal, which is quite funny because they can send and receive signals through the Van Allen radiation belt, landing men on the moon and rovers on Mars, but yet I struggle to maintain phone reception.
Good point.
But nevertheless, you were just, I mean, dude, I could go on and on and on here about this global warming thing you were just talking about and how all the absolute chaos that it's causing, and the Christian doctrine in the Holy Word of God that teaches the earth is fixed and immovable and enclosed by the firmament, that declares the power of God, and with his handiwork destroys global warming. It utterly wipes it out. But nevertheless, I've been watching Jesse Lee Peterson only now for the past several months. I've called into the show a couple of times. This is my second time to call into your show.
All right.
I tend to enjoy your show more, and that's not an attack on Jesse Lee. And my question about the interior design, I don't want you to take as an attack for Jesse Lee Peterson either. But I was watching The Fallen State yesterday with this guy who calls himself Reverend J. Augustine, which is a total joke, by the way. And the camera angle, the camera angle kept changing. You know, it would show him on the video prompter or the TV screen, and it would show Jesse Lee sitting down. And I couldn't help but notice on the wall, there's this chessboard pattern, and what looks like beside the chessboard pattern, 2 pillars, which looks like Masonic symbolism. Now, I know that there are rumors out there that Jesse Lee Peterson is a Mason. I'm not saying he is or he isn't.
No, he's not.
I find I find the fact that symbolism is in the interior design, quite alarming. I just wanted to ask you about it.
You know who did that? That was a black independent contractor that we hired to put up the soundproofing. Those are soundproofing panels, and I don't know where he learned to do his design work, but he did it without any input from us other than just, we want this room soundproofed because it's a big, huge room with concrete floors and bare walls. So he did that. We didn't question it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is the first I've heard that.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are people out there that, are aware of Masonic symbolism and the way it looks, and to people like myself who am aware of it, whenever you see it, it just sort of leaps out at you. But it was not my intention to call and accuse you or attack you or anything like that.
I appreciate that. Nick just deleted all my, or no, I don't know. Maybe it was not Nick. Somebody address the caller names, please. Anyways, yeah, go ahead. Okay,
so what do you think about Trump and Operation Warp Speed and pushing this vaccination through?
I am concerned about I don't think that Trump intends to force us to get vaccines. I don't think that's his nature. But I do think that evil people will try to force vaccines.
Well, so I don't like that aspect of it.
What's that?
So let me ask you about this aspect of Trump. It's my belief that Trump was a Trojan horse, so to speak, to be put into place to get this vaccination acceptance to go through. if we think about the so-called evangelical Christian community, which makes up a large portion of the nation, they were very willing to go along and have been going along with Trump's warp speed and his whole initiative here because of Trump and what he allegedly stands for as far as standing up for the country.
Yeah.
And this same group of people...
You're talking about by going along, you mean like they're not vocally protesting against it and stuff like that? Because
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes. Now, this same group of people, I feel safe in saying, if this same type of thing would have been pushed with a Democrat in office or with, Obama in office, these same people that are, clamoring and saying Trump's done a good job with Operation Warp Speed and getting this pushed through would be totally against it.
Definitely.
Because what Trump has essentially done is they have militarized healthcare. Okay, because the military is going to be behind. They have been behind the creation and the distribution, or the stockpiling, I should say, of it, and they're going to be behind the distribution of it, which is essentially militarized in healthcare. And I think this is a very potentially dangerous situation. Now, of course, I would rather deal with Trump than Joe Biden any day of the week.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we have to understand the time that we're living in. And if we don't stand up as a nation, all right, collectively, and say no to this, that we're not going to stand for it, what this guy Trudeau from Canada has said recently over the past couple of months about COVID-19, or I like to call it the Chinese virus, providing a great opportunity to push forth this agenda and have this new world order, right, where they can keep up with people and contact trace them and make them do all this foolishness.
Right.
Okay, that's not a coincidence.
Yeah, Trudeau. What were his words again? He said something like the Great Reset. I happened across it on Twitter, and it's basically like for basically a takeover, a power grab over the people, kind of like what you're describing. Interesting, man.
Exactly.
That part's true.
Yeah, and what he said was, again, the Chinese virus, at least that's how I like to refer to it because it came from China, allegedly. Yeah. The Chinese virus, and let me just say, I don't believe you can catch a virus in the traditional way that we've been taught. But nevertheless, he said that this virus has given the perfect opportunity for them to get this great reset accomplished, and which is there are no coincidences in life, and clearly all this has been planned. So that's what I wanted to talk about, and I thank you for answering my question. Like I say, I was not trying to attack you. Yeah,
appreciate that. Yeah, they as Rahm Emanuel said, I don't know what the crisis was, but he said Rahm Emanuel was an Obama guy, right? And then he was mayor of Chicago. He said, never let a crisis go to waste. And that's the same thing that commie male feminist Justin Trudeau is saying, essentially, taking power over the people. It's disgusting. I have a clip of that I'm going to play. I appreciate it, Carl. Good call. But be careful what you believe in, man, because it's best to leave stuff as I don't know, as opposed to arriving at a conclusion, including like the Earth. I think that you and I have debated about that a little bit before. And then also about whether Trump is a Trojan horse or just some of the stuff he's doing, meaning good, is being used for evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I believe what I believe about the Earth because the Holy Word of God declares it. That's
right.
Why I
you and I have talked about that before, right?
Yeah, I think it was about a month ago.
Okay.
But as far as Trump goes, I mean, I do, my own research, and I look into these things. I stay away from mainstream media, and I think the fact that Trump goes over there to that Wailing Wall and lays his hand on it and rocks back and forth like he's having sex with the feminine aspect of God, which is what that is.
You calm down, Carl.
Satanic and evil.
It's gross. Okay.
Well, that's what he did.
Well, okay, but keep it clean. Keep it clean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take care.
I appreciate you, man. Take care.
All right. Yeah,
bye. That's a reference to him going to Israel. Yeah. Gross. But anyways, I didn't see footage of him doing that. I just saw the photograph. Whatever. I I have a clip of Trudeau doing that. Do you want to play 16.5b? I don't have it. I'm stealing it from the Jesse Lee Peterson show. It's Trudeau, right? Here's Trudeau talking about what he calls the Great Reset. Gross. Watch.
Have laid bare fundamental gaps and inequities within our societies and between them. That's why last spring, Canada worked with Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Secretary General Antonio Guterres to convene a high-level meeting to discuss how leaders around the world could work together to close these gaps and build a better, more equitable system that works for everyone. This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset. This is our chance to accelerate our pre-pandemic efforts to reimagine economic systems that actually address global challenges like extreme poverty, inequality, and climate change.
What a weirdo. He looks weird, he sounds weird, and he is weird. And I said fake right as he said reset. So sorry, guys, I was talking over it right when he said that key word. But yes, femme voice, says Clovera over on Twitch. That's nasty. Oh yeah, of course, reading from a teleprompter. What a sicko. Whatever. And guys, just because you may stay away from the mainstream news and do your own research and look at people and interpret what you're looking at, doesn't mean that you can see. Be careful. I had to get out with Carl. He grossed me out. But anyway, we'll talk again, Carl. I appreciate the call. It is pretty sick what these people are pushing. Not to be trusted. It's an endless attack on the rule of law by the government. Here, before I get to Art and Rick and the rest of you guys, hang tight, callers. Revolver News reports that a federal judge in Brooklyn says that the DHS Secretary, Chad Wolf, whom I am no fan of Chad Wolf, because he pushed the fake, attack on whites as well, right? Department of Homeland Security, so-called, right? He lacked authority to suspend DACA. Excuse me, we shouldn't even have DACA. Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, meaning illegals. The far-left Enemies of America Associated Press report that a federal judge in New York ruled on Saturday that acting Department of Homeland Security Secretary Chad Wolf assumed his position unlawfully and determined that invalidated Wolf's suspension of Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, which shields so-called young people from deportation. They're like my age. They came here at 16 before 2012. They're like 38 and younger, and not necessarily that much younger, like 10, 15 years maybe, I don't know. DHS failed to follow the order of succession as it was lawfully designated, said U.S. District Judge Nicholas Garaufis, Garaufis, a 72-year-old Clinton judge, Greek, liberal. Not to be confused with the based Greeks, such as that 17-year-old guy who calls my show and has called Jesse's show, or Poseidon. Poseidon's a nice Greek guy, not a kiss-up like these people. Wolf issued a memorandum in July effectively suspending DACA, pending review by the DHS. A month earlier, the Supreme Court had ruled that President Trump failed to follow rulemaking procedures when he tried to end the program. Yes, he tried to end it. The justices kept a window open for him to try again, though. 650,000 people are a part of DACA. Includes young, what the AP subversively calls immigrants, though. They're illegals. So-called brought to the country as children, or came here by themselves, so-called as children. To legally work, it's not legal. It's not legal. Laws are written by Congress and the Senate. Laws are not written by the executive branch, right? DACA was an executive order by Obama, pushed by also Janet Napolitano, right? The Obama woman. She was once a female governor for Arizona, and she was president of the UC system, University of California system. Dumb feminist woman. Karen Tumlin. I have a few pictures about and of her. Karen Tumlin, an attorney with this DACA thing, pushing this DACA thing. By the way, she's a Kamala Harris fan. Civil rights litigator, so you know she's a communist. Civil rights, automatically communist. And she claims that she sued every president since number 43. And I guess, I don't know how far back that goes. 43 would be W. Bush, right? 44, Obama, and 45, Trump. And don't plan to stop soon. And she is just a lying lawyer. And she's represented a plaintiff in one of these lawsuits that challenged Wolf's authority. Sicko. Kamala Harris fan. She's all pretending that Kamala Harris is the vice president-elect. She's pretending. Look at her. Look at this sick. She's all, hello, Madam VP-elect Kamala Harris. I am so here for this change. We are going to have a black South Asian woman who is daughter of an immigrant in the White House. And by the way, I don't even think she's eligible to be a senator. I am here for it. And she has all these pictures, black and white pictures of Mike Pence and Dick Cheney and Joe Biden and Al Gore and every other former male vice president, right? That's disgusting. Combo breaker. I remember they did that when Obama won because there was white man after white man 43 times, and supposedly, right? And then combo breaker, Barack Obama won. But there's nothing to celebrate. Their own destruction. That's this silly woman, right? And she's a sleazy lawyer suing to stop Chad Wolf from being a doing his job. His one job. His job is not to undermine and say, oh, Antifa is not terrorists. Oh, it's the white supremacists who are the primary lethal threat. Sick. This guy claimed that, I don't know, he just did a whole bunch of dumb stuff. By the way, Joe Biden, if he gets in, and that's a big if, plans to reinstate DACA, let the illegals stay here, and expected to use executive orders to reverse some of Trump's other immigration actions. Let me quickly tell you before I get back to Art and Rick. Candace Owens tweeted, she's a black female on Twitter. She said something true. She said, quote, "There is no society that can survive without strong men. The East knows this. In the West, they study the steady feminization of our men at the same time that Marxism is being taught to our children. It is not a coincidence. It is an outright attack. Bring back manly men," she said. And she quote tweeted this Vogue magazine. You guys know that Teen Vogue is evil. They like to subvert your children if you're dumb enough to let your children read Teen Vogue. Vogue magazine said they're quoting this male. "There is so much joy to be had in playing with clothes." Talk about embarrassing. I've never thought too much about what it means. It just becomes this extended part of creating something. And that's a quote about their December story about Harry Styles, and it has this male who's wearing dresses. A male white. I think he's white. I don't know if he's a normal. I mean, you look at him, he's not a normal white. That's not normal. And everybody's going after Candace for saying something true and basic. Any sane person can see this and say this, but they're going after her. Gross people. And that's nasty. It's illegal to be a man in America. I wonder who did that, says Master of War. Sickos with their false religion. There's a picture of Vogue's article online. And it's saying he's just dumb. And there's people defending it by saying, oh, this has been happening a long time. And they show pictures of these other idiots, some of them alive and some of them not. I rest my case. This person who calls himself Simon Gloom says, Candace Owens is 50 years behind our culture and education. But she's on top of civilization, at least in this tweet. Here's Iggy Pop. Oh, yeah, like we're supposed to follow him. Iggy Pop is a singer, or was. I think he still is. David Bowie, who's died. Kurt Cobain, who's died. All cross-dressing. Isn't that disgusting? Sorry, kids and adults. It's gross, but the list of other men in music doing the same thing is very long. The trend started around 1970 and went into other culture like sports. You guys saw Dennis Rodman did it? It doesn't make it right just because it's been happening a long time. It's kind of like these same dumb blacks saying, oh, F the police has been happening for decades. It's been sung about for decades. It's part of our culture. No, it's not. It's part of your degenerate culture. That's why Jesse Lee Peterson says to overcome culture. Yeah, that's Kurt Cobain. Don't show it again. It's gross. You have to scroll. What is that thing called? Scrub back. You have to scrub back. Me and my boomer vocabulary. So, I had to show that to you. It's sick. And last but not least, the Andrew Meyer. Andrew Meyer put out an article. He's the "Don't Tase Me, Bro" guy. Back in 2007, he was, I don't know, he protested. I think it was some speech with that guy who's called Wooden. I'm blanking on his name, but he's dumb. He was a Secretary of State for Obama at one point. Not to be confused with Hillary Clinton. This is Andrew Meyer. We're showing a picture of him. He's in a blue shirt. I think he's kind of like a liberal, but he's kind of an independent-minded liberal, one of those types. I don't know if he's a full-blown liberal right now, but he basically is, but a nice guy. Well, he came out with this article in his website, theandrewmeyer.com, the 72 most important news accounts on Twitter, election edition. And Jesse Lee Peterson is up there. Here's the top 10 who he describes as the realist. Patrick Corielchi, I don't know how to pronounce that. Culture with 3 T's. Anomaly. You may be familiar with Anomaly. Jesse Lee Peterson is number 7. Andrew Meyer, he puts himself just ahead of Jesse Lee. And then Mike Cernovich, who's a center-left journalist. Scott Adams, liberal guy, but a nice guy. Jack Posobiec, who's former FBI or something like that? I don't know. President Donald Trump, and Ali Alexander, was part of the Stop the Steal movement. Ali has been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show. Isn't that nice? Yeah, make sure you're following Jesse Lee Peterson. Liberals aren't independent-minded, Hake. Facepalm, says Shane. I know, but in terms of, like, they're not. They're really not. And in fact, I don't really know much about Andrew, but he said in this article that he came to church. I recently met Jesse Lee Peterson at his church one Sunday. He has an evident connection to God. Isn't that nice? That's a nice report. Andrew Meyer, I believe that he's Jewish. He has a black wife. Does he? Is this the one? That's the one?
Do you remember him?
Is this a skinny guy?
No.
Okay.
Taller.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I vaguely remember one guy saying, oh, yeah, I'm Jewish. And because Jesse asked him, are you Jewish? I love the Jews, says Jesse. Was it that time? I mean, he's said that many times. Okay, interesting. So that's cool. I didn't realize that was him. Did you realize that was him at the time?
No.
Yeah. So he came to church kind of incognito. Didn't say, hey, I'm the "Don't Tase Me, Bro" Andrew Meyer guy. Because I know that this guy has worked with Cernovich and other stuff. But that's cool. Right on. Is some kind of hit list, says Inflictor 2020. Okay. Oh, he mentioned his book after the service. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Anyway, I got to get to calls. Art in Ohio wants to talk about gentrification, which in some cases is being used by the Agenda 21 people. So not all gentrification is good. Art, how are you doing?
Hey, how you doing? Hey.
Fine. What's up?
All right. How my crew, my 4 specialists in the crew up there doing? Everybody cool?
Thumbs up. Doing well.
Okay, all right.
Nodding.
Well, Father God bless y'all. Well, I'm gonna use your little word. I like what you just said or whatnot. I'm gonna use your combo breaker. So long story short, man, Candace Owens, she's on my team. She's on the right, man. She's a logical thinking female. Now I ain't gonna try to vote her to be no president.
Is there such a thing?
Back up.
No, go for it. Go on.
I know what you mean. You know what I mean. So she the closest thing or whatnot to a logical thinker or whatnot. I wouldn't vote her into office or nothing, but y'all need to go ahead and just back off. I'm talking about the lefties. Back up off of her because everything she's saying is true.
Right.
And we already know that. We know the left don't like the truth.
Right.
Let alone they wouldn't know the truth if they hit them in the face. All right. Now my second thing is with the gentrification or whatnot. Then I think it was one of your shows yesterday I was watching that you said that East Indian from overseas, they the richest culture in America.
I don't remember saying that. It may be true.
Yeah, I think it was either you or it might have been Jesse. It might have been Jesse because I watched Jesse before I watched you. Long story short,
richest in terms of money?
Money wise, yeah, because they don't get in trouble. They got good family ethics and stuff like that. They have strong family values, which America has lost, and everybody can clearly see.
Yeah.
And in the foreign countries and people from overseas are taking advantage of it because they see that America is being decimated by America like a cancer. Long story short, my problem is with Democrats, they love to talk about how they can manage money and this and this and this, but these are the same people that go to these colleges, far lefty liberal loonies, being taught by liberal loonies, go up there, get a master's degree, run up $400,000 student loans, and then next thing you know, they trying to get the Republicans to pass a bill so they don't have to pay back the student loan or the debt. What type of person are you to get a service and then say you don't want to pay for it?
I know.
That's just like going into a sit-down restaurant, getting the food, eating, and then say, well, Republicans, you pass a bill so I don't have to pay them. No.
Yeah.
You a bum. You a leech. The only thing you do is look for handouts. And that's simple as that. Why the hell would I be listening to you if you don't even know how to handle your own finance? I don't care if you was a kid when you did it or not.
Yeah.
Long story short, again, that's my first thing with the Democrats. My second thing is with the gentrification or whatnot. I'm in an area that I'm living in, and it's a certain area where I live at, in the state that I live at, where it was the ghetto. Well, they basically about 4 or 5 years ago. Keep in mind, this is the ghetto where I'm talking about the little 13-year-olds. They running around. They got guns at 13. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Long story short, well, they knocked their buildings down or whatnot, moved everybody out, spread them all over the city. Well, they built them back up, and these are Democrats we talking about. And guess who they moved back in there?
The ghetto people.
The same trash that you just moved up out of there, you moved right back in there. So what are they going to end up doing, Democrats? You dang old dummies. They going to end up tearing the place back up that you just built up. It looks like I'm trying to tell you, it's so nice up there. You would think the Father God himself was up there eating off the floor. Long story short, so first of all, you didn't change the family structure. You didn't change the people's way of thinking. So you ain't doing nothing but this. You built up a nice place and moved trash in it. You ain't doing nothing but moving trash from one place to the next to move it right back.
That's very true.
That's why I can't mess with the Democrats, because they don't think logical. They think like they moms. I don't care if you a boy and you a Democrat. You was more than likely raised by a single female or whatnot. All y'all want is handouts. You think that the females they're always innocent. They're never wrong. That's why I can't mess with you Democrats, man. Go ahead. I'm listening, hey.
You're right, man. And it's so atheistic. It's that poverty causes crime lie. These people who pretend that they're just committing crimes because they're poor or because of racism. And so you don't believe in like what you said, they don't believe in logic or common sense or morals or family or God. And so they just change their surroundings. And yeah, a few of them will take advantage of the new opportunities, but a whole lot of them are not going to. And the ones who are taking advantage of the new opportunities are going to be brainwashed to believe in liberalism and be, oh, I'm so grateful for these people giving me free stuff. We need to continue giving free stuff, because they get brainwashed by the corrupt education system, whether they learn whether they don't learn. They stay evil.
Well, shit, let me get back on this one. I got another one for you, and it's Christmas time. Now, watch how this. I'm going to tell you how the news like to do that. I'm going to tell you how the news like to do down here in Ohio, where I'm from. So check this out. Last year, the news time. Now, keep in mind, Christmas, you know, there's people out there who don't get stuff or whatnot. So they had a little drive for females that are pregnant and can't get stuff for their kids for Christmas, which I don't have no problem with that. But that's the same type of stuff that keeps them out here having babies and not keeping the dad in the house, because you think that around Christmas time, everybody going to come with their hands out to take care of your mess that you created. Then you think that you deserve a pat on your back. You don't deserve no pat on your back, because you promoting dysfunction.
Right.
Maybe if that woman that you up here sitting here trying to make it seem like she innocent, oh, she ain't getting nothing, how she gonna take care of her kids for Christmas? They ain't getting. Well, maybe if you held her accountable, maybe she wouldn't be going out here having no kids out of wedlock, and then coming to all the white people, the black people, and the Mexicans, and the East Indians that ain't even supposed to be over here, that's looking at you, laughing at you, taking over your land. Maybe they wouldn't be looking at you asking free stuff to hand out if you would stop promoting and making it seem like every time that you're doing dysfunction, meaning food stamps and child support, then we gonna support your dysfunction, you dang old dumb Democrats. Get off the liquor, man. Put the crack down, man. God bless you. I'm out of here.
Appreciate it, Art. It's good to hear from you, man. Take care.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Interesting. He's right. Oh, man. Let me get to Rick in Hampton, Virginia. A couple of Virginia callers I got to get to before the end of the show.
Hey,
Rick. Hey, Rick. How are you doing?
Fine, and you? How was
Fine.
your weekend?
It was nice. Very nice. Appreciate it.
Man. What do you think about President Trump, man? Is it looking bleak? You think you want to concede, or you think he got a smoking gun behind him?
He's not conceding at this point, so right on to him for that. He claims, and his lawyer, I mentioned it in Hake News today, that one of his lawyers named, what's her name? Sidney Powell, author of Licensed to Lie, which is a great book from 2014 about the DOJ, and it's relevant to this day. She says that they have evidence that could overturn the elections in several states. I don't know if that's true. I don't think of her as being somebody to make wild claims that don't pan out, but I just don't know. I do not know what's going to happen, and I hate to try to predict. I like her fight. I like his fight. I like that he has her on his team, and I like that he's, Drudge and all the liberal media are pretending that, because at one point Trump tweeted, he only won because of fake results, like saying that about Joe Biden. And the media jumped on it and said, oh, Trump said that Joe Biden won. Yeah, nope, that's not true. No, he said, I concede nothing. He tweeted it later because they were trying to jump on that. He said, I concede nothing. This was a rigged election. So,
man, most of my liberal friends was calling me and saying, see, Trump, he's conceding.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I ain't going to concede to every vote, and especially the mail-in ballots I counted.
You know what? I'm with Trump. Verified. Whatever Trump says, I'm with that. Because what else? What other choice do we have? If he's fighting, we're fighting. If he gives up, which I don't see him doing, but if he does, then what other choice do we have but to say, okay, Trump's giving up the fight, we'll fight something else, because we're gonna keep fighting as long as we have breath, right?
They keep saying he will be president. I like saying, I don't bet in that league trying to make prophecies, that I can't verify in the scriptures. So I tend to stay away from that. But I would love to see President Trump overturn this, and then President Biden got to get up there and say, well, I cheated, though. I didn't realize we was using the software. I want to say that speech, man.
Yeah, she made the claim that some of this voting software and hardware was switching votes from Trump to Biden, and there's other stuff too. She said that there's so much evidence that they're getting, it's coming in like a fire hose. So I don't know. That's what she said on Maria Bartiromo on Fox Business on Sunday. We'll see what happens.
Well, if I was President Trump, I wouldn't say too much. I'll just keep everything secret until the day it comes to show the Supreme Court. I wouldn't show them nothing, man. I wouldn't show them my hand yet.
Yeah, you know what? That's kind of wise because these people, they like to get their hands on all kinds of information. That's why they want Trump's taxes and all that stuff, just so they can manipulate it and mischaracterize it with using a little bit of facts to spread lies. Kind of like with the, he only paid $720 in taxes lie. Yeah. Anyway, Rick, I appreciate that. It's good to hear from you.
Hey, good to hear from you, James. Keep it a good way. Love you, brother. I'll see you. Try to talk to you tomorrow.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Yep.
Russ in Virginia. I think also in Hampton, Virginia. Russ, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. How you doing?
I'm fine as well. It's good to hear from you. What you want to talk about? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's funny to me. Hello?
Yes. What's funny?
Yeah, it's funny to me because I have an older brother named Rick, and we're both in Hampton, Virginia. So whenever I hear the guy Rick in Hampton, Virginia, it's funny to me because it reminds me of my brother, and I know that he does not have the same values as the guy that you have on the air.
I'm not surprised to hear that.
Yeah, it's very funny to me.
Isn't that a shame? So your brother's not as sensible as Rick from Hampton?
No, my brother has sense as opposed to the guy Rick in Hampton, Virginia. In my opinion, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody.
All right.
So I have to say, in my opinion.
So, like, what is an example of his lack of sense? Rick from Hampton. The caller, Rick.
Because he agrees with many things that you say, and I disagree with many things that you say.
Oh, okay. That's not...
Dude, I'm a frequent caller. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know that I don't agree with the things that you say.
I know that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, actually, I know that you claim that.
What do you mean that you know that I claim that?
Because
I'm the male Maze.
You're a male Maze. Don't say that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I have a picture of what I have. I got a tip from a viewer, a listener, of who she thinks of when she hears Maze calling into my show. I'm going to show it on the screen with you on the line, Russ. Just hang tight. This lady, I think she may be gone now, so I don't think this is really Maze. But this is Esther from the TV show Sanford and Son. And I think her real name is LaWanda Page.
Yeah,
LaWanda Page.
Esther from, yes, that's LaWanda Page. Is Esther from the Sanford and Son.
Yeah. Does that remind you? You of Maze?
I'm sure I have no idea what Maze looks like. I'm just saying.
No, but how she sounds, how she acts.
I just think that a lot. I don't agree with everything that Maze says, but I agree with a lot of things that Maze says.
Does she have a sassy attitude? Does Esther from Sanford and Son have a sassy attitude like Maze?
She does have a sassy attitude, but I do know that my brother, Rick, who lives in Hampton, Virginia, does not agree with anything that you said. But it's just funny to me to hear it. That's all I'm saying.
It's funny to hear me say Rick from Hampton, and then it's this happy-sounding, sensible black conservative man.
No, it's not. It's not sensible. It's ridiculous because you're an idiot, and the things that Rick says
is idiotic, in my opinion.
Whatever. You're a male maze. You said it. We're opening the treasure chest.
I did not say that.
You just said you're a male maze.
I did not say I'm a male maze. I said I like what she says, and I like her as a person. She speaks her opinion, whether it agrees with you or not. That's what I like about maze.
You remind me of the USPS Inspector General who tried to confuse that whistleblower who said, I'm going to say this, but I'm not going to say this. I'm not trying to scare you, but I am trying to scare you. I'm a male maze. I didn't say I'm a male maze. Do you not remember saying that you were a male maze?
I did not say I was a male maze. I said that I want to be...
you said something like that. Didn't you say something like that?
If that's
it
what
sounds
you want
like,
to say, this is...
Sounds like my mother lying to me, and then she says whatever when she gets caught. Or my when I dated too, they would be like, "I didn't say that. You just said that." Forget it. We're not talking about this.
Yeah, this is your radio show. You can say whatever you want to say.
I know, and you can lie and say what you didn't say. Anyways,
I just wanted to say that it's funny every time I hear that guy Rick from Hampton, Virginia, because it's funny to me because I know that my brother has absolutely no opinion that goes with that guy. That's all I was trying to say.
Right, and this is the third time, and none of us were confused by that point. This is the third time you've said that. Are you a little off today?
I'm not off at all, are you?
Well, that's a matter of opinion, man. I might be a little off, but I think that you're a little off today, man. That's a little concerning.
Well, I'm old, so, sometimes...
You're not that old. You're in your 50s. You're in your 50s, right?
Yeah, that is old.
I read on Drudge. I still look at Drudge a little bit, guys, but, I'm kind of starting to see what you mean. But there was a headline that most people start to feel old at 47.
Okay, but... okay, so what does that mean? Like...
Joel's grandpa died at 95, man.
And I hope
so was he old for 40 years?
It depends on... Dude, there's a...
Dude. You seem frustrated and flustered.
Well, yeah, because you're being silly.
I am a little bit being silly, but I mean, you're being confusing. And it seems like you are confused. It doesn't seem like you're trying to necessarily confuse us.
No, I'm not confused at all. I mean, people have different...
Sometimes
somebody that's 55 that's in good health is different than somebody that's 55 that's in bad health.
Right.
So to evaluate somebody just because of their age is kind of stupid.
All right.
So you're being stupid, right?
Right.
Okay, well then stop being stupid.
No. It's my show. I'll be what I want.
Yeah, it's your show.
And this is America.
And you can be stupid
if
you want to, yeah. But that's still being stupid. You sound like Jesse. Jesse told me that I had health issues because I was angry. That's real stupid.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No.
All right, so let me ask you a question. So if I get angry because I see young people disrespect and harm elder Americans, and I get angry at that, then that has an effect on my kidneys or that has an effect on my pancreas. That makes no sense.
It makes a ton of sense. Have you been conscious? Have you been conscious of what anger does to your body sometimes when you get flustered? I mean, and it's in there doing harm that you're not even aware of, conscious of. It's not just it's not just an incident. It's not just an incident that you've overreacted to.
Yes. In some respects, yes.
Thank you.
But
no, it's not. So it's not stupid.
It is stupid.
It's stupid that you destroy your body like that. Yes.
Wait. So if somebody jumped you outside your studio and said you're a hate monger and I'm gonna cut your throat, and I say, well, that's messed up, man. That's horrible.
Yeah.
How could somebody do that? Then because of that, I have health issues.
It's best
That's
not to.
ridiculous.
It's best not to let any kind of injustice get to you.
So I'm not supposed to be human because anger is a part of humanity.
Does Jesse act like he's not human?
No, because he does.
He's very normal, right? He's quite normal.
He doesn't. No, what he says and acts differently. That's being human.
All right.
I have issues and I have emotions because I'm human.
Yeah. Anyway, I got to run. We're overtime, Russ. Nice talking with you. Nice to hear from you. This guy. Everything's cowardice and running away when he's the blacks. Anyway, man, it's good to hear from you.
What did you say about the what did you say about the blacks?
I said everything's cowardice and running away with the blacks. Oh, you're just running away because you're scared. I gotta run.
That.
No, I know, but you said, of course you gotta run. I'm playing around.
You do have to run.
Yeah. All right.
But that's next time when Rick from Hampton, Virginia calls, that's not my brother. How about that?
All right.
All right.
I recommend you do Jesse Lee Peterson's silent prayer, some unsolicited advice for you.
I recommend you don't recommend nothing to me. I'll do what I do.
I'll recommend it if I want. This is a free country. I get to make unsolicited recommendations.
Yeah, whatever.
All right. Good to hear from you, man. Take care.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Bye. Sorry, Bible go-to guy and the rest of the callers. I cannot get to you. Mo Betta stand-up says, oh, man, so many super chats. Let me read these. You can go ahead and turn on the music while I read these, because we got to go. Thank you guys for joining. Congrats to Mo Betta stand-up. Brindle, Zero Cool 527, Prodigal Sons, Ang something, Canadian David, and the rest of the supporters. Thank you. The Reverend Chad Kroger gave a diamond, said, I think it's a fight between good and evil. Yeah, that's true. He might be referring to New York versus Texas. I don't know. Vaccine equals 90%. Virus equals 99%. I'll take my chances, says LL Cool Nate. Yeah, good point. I hear that 99% of people recover from the virus, especially if they're young and healthy. Mobita stand-up gave a Ninjagini, said, I miss when JLP and Hake had 1,000 plus live per show before those contractors and new chatters showed up. Interesting. Mobita stand-up gave a diamond and said, don't evade ugly. A storm of ugly immigrates. Soon. Interesting, man. That's if Biden gets in. Mobetta stand-up gave a diamond and said, careful about that last caller, bro. He's scary. Oh, interesting. Mobetta stand-up gave a diamond and said, caller, Hake has to run. Knife? Oh my gosh. Not sure what that means, but thank you. And super chats from Bible Go-To guy. Says, would you please ask Carl to stop embarrassing himself and watch the real-time video of the 2 SpaceX launches to the ISS? The real-time video shows the Earth is a globe, erasing all doubt. If there is also a short, medium, long-range missiles that compute the curvature of the Earth to strike their targets, Chinese, Russian, North Korean, American rocket, satellite, and missile experts all use the curvature of the Earth to make their technologies effective. The problem with too many conspiracy theorists like Carl, this is a long super chat, is that everybody becomes part of the conspiracies where they put Donald Trump and Joe Biden together. Anyway, guys, appreciate the support. Take care. Oh, by the way, he says Carl is the only one who is pure and clean because some obscure misinterpreted scripture justifies his theoretical accusations. The proof that anger is bad is it raises your blood pressure. That last one is for Rick's brother from Hampton, Virginia. Appreciate you guys. Oh, let me just double check the Streamlabs. I completely forgot Streamlabs today. Streamlabs.com/The Hake Report, just to be safe. Better safe than sorry, since we are playing 2 ending songs today. Yes, indeed. It's worth it because I do have a generous super chat from Jib Jab who says, bonus dears, I keep seeing commercials with nothing but blacks. All these companies simping for blacks gonna regret it when America is gone. Yeah. All right, guys. Appreciate the support. TheHakeReport.com for my stuff. JesseLeePeterson.com for Jesse's stuff. Take care, guys.